Hello everybody and welcome to Judge Mathas, and today on trial stands a game that's been in development and I've had my eye on for the better part of a year to a year and a half, and that is Darkwood. Darkwood is a successfully crowdfunded indie game that has recently hit Steam Early Access, and I say crowdfunded instead of Kickstarter because it actually went through Indiegogo. I believe Indiegogo is different in that I don't believe you actually need to meet your goal to collect the money that you raise. You will, I'm pretty sure, collect the money no matter what. Darkwood, though, actually surpassed its goal when it was announced and collected more than enough money to produce the game they were looking to make, and now it has officially hit Steam Early Access. Darkwood is special to me because I didn't really do a lot of crowdfunding games. In fact, I think I've crowdfunded a maximum of like 3 games total, and so far I've been very lucky with what they are. They've all been very successful to varying degrees, and Darkwood is the last of the ones that I personally have crowdfunded. I don't really do the crowdfunding thing too much, and Darkwood promises to be kind of a cool mix of survival, horror, and roguelike features. And again, I say cool mix because it's not really heavily any one of those 3 things. It brings them together in a really unique way. There are survival aspects where you're kind of going out, gathering supplies, crafting things in order to make your survival in this world easier. There's the horror element in the world itself, because the world itself is a very psychological and scary place, and the story that is told, because there is a story, is one of mystery and twists and turns, and so far some really bizarre and kind of creepy things that have made me jump even a couple of times. And roguelike features in that the world itself is randomly generated every time you play the game, which does add kind of this layer of replayability, and something I'm going to talk about a little bit as we play more of the game. Now, there are a couple of cool features they've added in the game so far, and for an alpha, I'm going to talk about why I'm actually really enjoying this game a great amount. So if we go to the options, there's not a lot here, video-wise. You'll see why that's not a big deal in a minute, just because of the way the game looks. Audio works well, and the controls are pretty self-explanatory. If you're going to play the game for the first time, make sure you play the prologue. The prologue is going to teach you how to play the game itself, and then we'll go into, then you go right into the game itself. So you have a few slots here, and I'm actually should be starting day 3 on this. I don't know why it says day 2, but when you start a new game, you actually have an option here. Now, initially the game was gonna beat permadeath at all times, but the community kind of spoke, and one of the things that people said is, I don't necessarily want permadeath. Can we get rid of permadeath? And other people were saying, I like the idea of permadeath. It adds a lot of tension to what you're going to do and the decisions you're going to make throughout the game. Please leave it in. So something that a lot of developers don't do is give you the option, but Darkwood actually did give you the option. So you will have the option to have permadeath on or off. Now, my personal play style, I like permadeath, but for the sake of this video, I'm just going to leave it off, and we're going to start up a game. I am going to skip the prologue because we're going to save that for something else. We'll talk about that in a minute. And I'm going to go ahead and play and generate a world. Now, one of the things with this early alpha version of the game is that it takes a long time to generate the world. So I'm going to go ahead and skip past world generation and restart recording once the world is loaded up. I'll see you guys in a bit. So, welcome to Darkwood. This is it. For those of you who aren't necessarily familiar with what Darkwood is or seen any of the trailers before, this might surprise you, specifically with how I described the game being kind of a roguelike horror survival game. Having a top-down game like this and kind of using those terms to describe it might not necessarily provoke an image that you're seeing right now. In fact, the very first thing I thought of when I saw this game today was something along the lines of Hotline Miami, because it does kind of evoke those memories with the way it actually moves, the way it looks. In fact, a lot of the way it controls is very Hotline Miami. I mean, use the WASD keys to control, but the weightiness and even, I would say, the physics of the game itself are very much reminiscent of Hotline Miami, which isn't a bad thing. In fact, it might even use something similar to have created the game. I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, I think it's a really good thing. But for a horror game, I definitely had my doubts about it. I wasn't sure if a top-down game could really evoke the sense of fear that a lot of other horror games necessarily do because of the camera angle. I mean, a lot of what makes a horror game scary is the restricted camera angle, is the idea of not knowing what's around the next corner, is not knowing what's beyond the door, for instance. And having a top-down view like this does kind of take a little bit of those fears away. So the Acid Wizard Studios, the developer, really had to kick it up a notch in a few other areas to make this game scary, because though it is a roguelike and though it is a survival game, it's not nearly as much of each of those as it is a horror game. The game is really all about the fear of living and surviving in this type of world. The survival elements are good and pretty damn deep, and the roguelike elements work well with the randomized world, but I'd say the core of this game is definitely that horror experience. And again, with the top-down view, I was worried that that was going to be taken away. Luckily, this game has terrified me numerous times, and it's able to do that in a lot of different ways. But we'll talk about those here in a minute. So first, when you start up a game, this is what you're presented with. This is going to be basically your house, your base of operations. This is going to be where you live. Every day, you're going to go out and you're going to scavenge, and once night rolls around, you're going to come home and you're going to hide here, because at night monsters come out, they will attack you, you will get your shit kicked in, and you will need to stay home. Now, another reason you need to come home is because if we go out here, you'll see there's a well. We can actually hop out this window just by pressing space. This well right here, you have to drink from every night. If you do not drink from this well every night, you start taking damage. It is basically a mechanic, as far as it is implemented thus far, to make you come home, to make you hide in your house. And I think that's a good idea in a lot of ways. Let's go ahead and click on this. We're actually going to go ahead and repair it, because we have... Oh, we got to get a bucket from the Wolfman first. In a lot of ways, what I feel like it's presenting and why it's part of the game is to bring you home and to make you hide in your house, to bring about that sense of closing your doors, closing your windows, and staying quiet because you're afraid of the dark. And it definitely does that. I mean, Minecraft did it in just populating the world with monsters, but eventually once you learn those monsters could be killed really easily, you didn't really worry about it anymore. Darkwood, not so much. The world is fucking scary. It gets really, really dark, and the sense of just sitting in your home, hearing the noises outside, which I'm going to, again, talk about in a minute, hearing everything kind of moving around and looking for you to kill you, really kind of evokes that fear. And knowing you need to come home and knowing you need to drink from that well kind of puts pressure on you as a player to pay attention, to know when the world is coming to a darkening close, when it's time to come home and when it's time to prep yourself for that. But first, when you start, there's going to be this guy here. Let's just get this out of the way. We're going to talk to him. Basically, this is the Wolfman. I'm going to skip the dialogue for the sake of story, because there is a story here, and all of Chapter 1 and the prologue is in the game right now. And basically, you can do three things with him. You can show him an item, which he'll basically be like, okay, you know, here's where you want to do with it. He basically gives you your first quest to go talk to a lady and whatever. That's what the dog tag here is for. You can also gossip with him. He'll give you hints as to what's going on in the world right now. And you can also trade with him. He likes guns and ammo. That's kind of the currency he'll use to do things with you. And you can buy things off of him, from weapons to tools to recipes to lockpicks. He has lots and lots of stuff. And as the game gets more and more developed, he'll have more and more things. And something I want to point out real quick is the artwork. Something I adore in this game so far is the art. It is a really cool gothic horror art style that they use, and it's freaking surrealist, bizarre, creepy art. I mean, we're talking to a wolf guy who has this kind of wispy kind of element to him with the way he's drawn, and the motion, even though it's a very simple breathing motion, is real fucking creepy. And a lot of that is prevalent in this game. There's a lot of cool, scary just art presented to you, the player, often. So you're gonna talk to him. He basically gives you a bucket, and what you want to do is you want to come over here and you want to swing out to this, and you go ahead and click on it. Hover over this area, which will tell you what you need to repair an item. This works for all items in the game. We need a bucket. You go ahead and click on it, and bam, now this well works. During the day, the well is dry. At night, the well fills up. That's when you want to drink it. There are no hunger or thirst mechanics in the game, so a lot of that hardcore survival stuff isn't really present. I'm not sure if I'd like it in the game or not. I haven't really played enough to really make that judgment, but right now it works just perfectly as it is. Other things in the house, we do have this little shed in here, which has a generator, which we can turn on, and all the lights will turn on. I never use the generator unless it's at night because it does operate with gasoline. We need gasoline to run it, and every time you use the generator, it's going to eat up that gasoline. And there's a corpse in here, which we can go ahead and search and grab our first batch of rags. One of the things kind of that's cool about this game, I don't know cool, but really creepy, and again, surrealist, is that dead bodies seem to grow or get absorbed by trees. I mean, if we take a look at this character right here on the ground, it looks like almost like her head and upper torso is becoming roots to a tree. That seems to be a prevalent, I guess, theme kind of running in the game right now. I don't know what it means. I don't know if we'll find out, but it's something interesting. So let's pop back in here. I want to show you one more thing. So there is sort of a leveling mechanic, and that's what this oven is. So when you click on this oven, you can start clicking things into it. Mushrooms and odd meat are the only things I've found so far that you can put into the syringe. And once you fill the syringe up, you then inject it to your character. Every time you inject your character with a syringe, he gains a new skill. The skill will help him do things like see under trees easier, or wildlife will be less aggressive toward him, and things such as that. That's just kind of like the leveling mechanic in the game, and hopefully we'll be able to show that off a little bit. So, let's do a little bit of exploration. Let's look around the world, see if we can find some things to survive. One of the major things we need to do is get ourselves a weapon, and luckily, we found a wood pile really early, which is awesome. Again, world is randomly generated. I don't think I've ever had a wood pile this early. We can hit tab real quick, and we can take a look at our crafting menu. So right now, we can craft bandages with alcohol, regular bandages, Molotov cocktails, broken glass, which is kind of a trap, which we can set traps to defend ourselves at night, some torches, a lockpick, and a plank with nails. Right now, we need 10 nails to create a plank. We have 8, and that's just how it works. So we're going to walk around. Like I said, we can hold shift to run, by the way. This little, I should probably cover this real quick. This bar right here is kind of is a stamina bar. This is our health bar. And this is a blue bar that fills up, I think, the more I do things. This is mushrooms, so let's go ahead and gather these mushrooms. So mushrooms are scary for 2 reasons, or for 1 reason, rather. Well, 1, we need them because it helps us level up. But 2, if you step on them, you get poisoned. And the poison not only just damages you, but it lowers your field of view. So I was talking about how Acid Wizard Studios kind of presented themselves with a challenge. How do you make a game scary when you kind of take away some of the most important elements that makes video games scary? And what they needed to do, and what they did do, is really focus on the other elements that make a game or an experience in general scary. And one of the most important ones is the audio. I really need to applaud Acid Wizard Studios with the audio work that they've done so far. The game just sounds rather, really good. From your character's movement to monsters, to distant noises, to the cracking of twigs as you step on them. Everything in this game has an excellent, excellent sound to it. And even though some of it might even be placeholder for now, it is just a phenomenal sounding game. And a lot of the times my heart gets going or my adrenaline starts pumping is because I hear something, or I scare myself by stepping on something, or I hear something in the distance outside of my house in the middle of the night. Like, that's the stuff that starts scaring me. And I really think that Acid Wizard Studios did a fucking phenomenal job with the audio, and I must commend them for it. It is really, really nice sounding. Another thing they needed to do to really kind of impress me is, you know, with a top-down view, we hear a dog. There's some wildlife going on here. Dogs themselves during the day don't really attack unless you get too close, so you can kind of work that. All right, we are already approaching night. Okay, yeah, that's a creature. It sees me. Time to go. Oh, God. So when you're running, you actually can't use the mouse to search and look behind you. Oh, we found ourselves like a crate here. Let's grab all this. We'll look at it after. We did get ourselves a trap, so that's good. So again, yeah, one of the other things they need to do was really kind of impressed with the art style and color scheme. And one of the things that they did do, IMO, in my opinion, is create a really kind of great and, like I talked about before, surreal just art style and theme with the game. Everything really has this dingy, depressing feel. And, ooh, nice. We got some matchsticks. Oh, God, what was that noise? See, like, when you hear twigs snapping, Oh, yeah, it was a dog over there. You don't know what exactly it is. But the game really does have this really kind of cool, moody feel to it. And now, you know, and especially as it gets darker and darker, it gets scarier and scarier. And that sense of claustrophobia, I guess, is really kind of pushed onto the player. Now, one of the things, too, that is kind of... Ooh. Let's, Savage search? A savage is the name of the enemy. Alright, so one of the other things that they do that also adds a lot of tension to the game is the map. So let's pop up on the map real quick. So, right here, we have our hideout, right? And up here is a hole-in-the-ground entrance. From there, we can kind of figure out where we are, but we don't really know where we are. I don't know if this line here is where we have traveled. In fact, let's see if it is. I don't know if it is. But from what I've been able to tell, it's really, really difficult to figure out where you are on the map. So you kind of have to keep track of yourself and not get yourself lost. It looks like we're down here. So yeah, this line has nothing to do with where you are on the map. We found a house. I'd love to use that house, but right now we need to get home, and we need to get home quickly. And if we do not get home fast, we're going to get ourselves fucking caught out in the dark and end up getting killed. Because A, we can't see because we have no torch, and B, we have no weapon. Though we could craft one right now, it would be pointless to try and fight in the dark. We will just get surrounded and murderized faster than we can actually deal with. So night is falling, and things are not looking good. Right here we have it. The thirst. Alright, and so we're going to try and run home as fast as we can. I'm trying to get back. I'm hoping this was going to be enough. I don't know if we're going to get home. We might actually end up dying. Now, when permadeath is off like it is for this, what happens when you die is you just wake up the next day in your house, and you miss the night's events, essentially. It doesn't seem that punishing, and I hope that they do actually implement a punishing kind of mechanic to the game itself when you die and you don't have permadeath on. Because right now it just seems like it's a little bit too easy. But permadeath itself, I would personally suggest playing with permadeath. I don't know. Oh god, yeah, we're gonna die here. So we're gonna end up dying, I think, mainly because I don't know where we are. And there we go. We went down real quick to some monsters out there. We found some rocks. If we take a look at the map, we were over here. We overshot it because of the darkness. But yeah, like I said, day 2, it just kind of puts us home. With no real punishment for having done what we did. I don't personally really like that much, but that's fine. So we'll go ahead and craft a plank with nails. We'll have ourselves a weapon now. We'll put on a hotbar. We do have 3 hotbars here, and we will. Do we lose? It looks like we actually lose some of the stuff that we ended up gathering, I think. All right, so that might be the punishment right there. When we die, we lose some of the stuff we gathered. Not a huge deal, but I can understand that. That's a pretty minor punishment still, in my opinion. All right, let's actually pop this door open. And let's actually plop down. So is it still nighttime? It might actually still be nighttime. Yeah, it's still nighttime. Okay. I'm pretty sure it's still nighttime. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to take this trap and put it down. No, I want... There we go. So we can do that. And we can go ahead and plop this down right there. It has to be a distance away from us. So we got a bear trap down. We'll take out our item. And we'll close it. So it seems like it's still daytime right now, which is interesting. I'm curious. Can I bash this open? I was hoping I could break the stool down. That does not seem to be the case. Okay. So at night, like I said, you kind of come home and you just try to survive to the best of your capabilities until the next day. There are physics in the game, which is actually important. And I'm going to demonstrate why that's important here. So our house actually has this kind of gaping hole in it, right? And really, there's no way for us to defend it, at least not yet. And maybe later on, as the game is developed, there'll be ways to craft walls and stuff. But right now, there isn't. So what we can do is take our dresser that I just searched, and we can actually push this. and move it. And there are a lot of items in the game that you can actually just move. And one of the things I like to do, particularly when I'm playing this game and trying to survive at night, is move things in front of the doors, because monsters will try and burst down doors. Some monsters can actually just bust it open. Others actually have to work their way in before they bust it. But to kind of keep yourself safe, you want to see if you can kind of put things in front of the door itself. So like, for instance, we can go ahead and grab this. Well, let's search this wardrobe first. We can go ahead and actually just push this wardrobe in front of like this window or something over here if we wanted to. Because right now, if the monster's smart enough, they could actually just jump out or jump into the window itself. They have introduced this ability to drag items, so we can go ahead and click it and drag it around. But I think they need to play with that, or maybe even get rid of it right now, because I feel like it's a little useless, right? We can drag it around, and when I drag it around, I'm not carrying my weapon anymore. I'm actually just completely in control of this thing, and that's all I can do. Or I can just walk into it and push it around, right? I can just go do this, and while I'm doing this, I still have pretty decent control over where I'm going to be wanting to push it. But moreover, I actually have my weapon in my hand, and I'm more ready to fight than usual. That's what's important about the pushing. And if they really want the ability to drag it, they have to either introduce a better way to do it, where it's more beneficial to pull and drag, or punish the player for trying to push into it, make it more difficult for them to actually do anything with it. So this dog is I'm just gonna let him go. He's just a big old mean face. So let's hit map real quick. So we know we find a pile of rocks over there. It's kind of interesting. So that's just kind of the day's, your day-night cycle. That's generally how it works. Now, I don't always... Let's go ahead and grab all that. I don't always cover early access games. Usually I only cover early access games in Judge Mathas if I think they're promising, they're well-polished, or I'm just having a lot of fun with it. It usually has to meet one of those three criteria. One of the things I want to do, and I want to commend here, is Astrid Wizard Studios yet again. Too many times have we seen, and I talked about this, and I have talked about this in the past, early access be used and abused by people. We found the chicken lady's house. Used and abused by developers who have like a really shitty broken game that's almost more of a proof of concept than anything else, and putting it out there just to get some cash. There's a rabbit over here. Let's see if we can actually kill it. Now he's gonna run off. You can kill the rabbit, by the way. But every so often, there will be a developer who puts a game up that is still early, obviously, and still very much, I guess you could say, kind of just the groundwork, proof of concept stage of the game as it is, but is functional and has a decent amount of entertainment for the player, that picking it up early in its development cycle not only is good because you can help the developer kind of do their thing by kind of chiming in, telling them what you'd like to see. There's some creepy music for you as we're at this chicken lady house. But at the same time, it works. As of right now, there is definitely some bugs that the developer is working on. One of them actually is pretty big. As far as I know, there is a save bug that is causing a lot of issues for a lot of people. Whoa. Whoa! Okay, let's go ahead and see if we can take him out. There's a save bug that is causing issues for players as of right now. He just kind of threw a rock and ran away. Weird. But for the most part, the game is definitely working. There are definitely some bugs, but this is one of the most solid early access releases I've seen in a long time. I mean, if you take something like The Forest, people ate that shit up, right? People were so excited for The Forest, but that game was and still is a broken mess. But Darkwood, for all of its bugs, is one of the more solid and enjoyable early access games I've played in a very, very long time. And that is exciting. I can see myself playing, and I will be doing definitely a little mini-series on this game, probably starting later today. And to have a developer kind of wait and develop this game for a year and a half or whatever before they put it on early access, something like Zomboid devs did, they waited. That's what early access is about, right? That's what I would love to see more developers do. Take the funding that they got, and then use it to develop a game that when they place it on Steam Early Access is going to be enjoyable and fun for players to play. Sure, it might have some bugs, and that's kind of the point of alpha and beta, is that it's going to have some bugs. But it is not such a broken heap of a mess that it's impossible to play for longer than 20 minutes at a time. And I can say quite confidently that Darkwood is definitely not a broken disaster of a game that is not fun to play. What's here works. Combat works. The story that's here is interesting. Does it have improvements? Can it still be a game that has a lot of work? Of course it does. But what's here is fun. And that's really important. And honestly, the game is definitely a really scary and kind of terrifying game. Let's go ahead and fight this dog here. I can show you the combat. So the way the combat works is you kind of hold right. It's actually very reminiscent of stuff like Project Zomboid, where you hold down right click to charge an attack, and you can see it by the circle how much you've charged it, and then you go ahead and click left click to swing. It's not exactly greatly detailed or anything, but it works. And it works well, and the sound design and the minor camera shake and the impact that the actual attacks have is very, very satisfying, and the animations are really good. I don't know, I'm just having a lot of fun with Darkwood, and I think what's here is a lot of fun. And for those who are looking for a horror experience with survival and roguelike elements, are going to find something to enjoy here. If you're someone who's a fan of roguelikes and are looking for something that has maybe survival horror elements in it, this is going to be a game for you. Just all in all, Darkwood is a pretty unique and rare experience to come across nowadays, and I really think that you guys should give it a shot. It's $15 on Steam, 10% off in its launch week. Check it out. The link will be in the description below. And stay tuned. We're going to be playing a little bit of Darkwood on my channel for a bit. I think it's something that, for those who want to see more, and maybe actually see like some more detailed versions of the story and stuff. Look, we got some rain going on. That's what the Let's Play is going to be all about. And we're definitely going to check it out. Dog died, and I was wondering what it is. Here's what it was. We'll go ahead and smack him. He's going to back up. So let's see if we can end off by killing this freaking monster. Ow. So if we can just kind of stun lock him. As we swing, though, we're losing stamina. And when you run out of stamina, by the way, you move slow as hell. And that's a huge problem. We might actually still be able to get him. We got him. He had a stick, a bottle, alcohol. Good stuff. And man, rain is kind of creepy. It almost looks like real rain that they had recorded, and then they just kind of put on the game. Real cool, man. Real cool. And it definitely hurts your vision, too. It's really hard to see. Get out of here, you dumb dog. Yeah, you can just beat the dog and they'll run. But that's going to be it. This is going to be my quick look here at Darkwood. If you're looking for a Let's Play and you want to play alongside me, keep an eye out. The first episode of that should be going up today. I'm having a real good time with it so far, and I think this is a game that a lot of people are going to enjoy. I hope you check it out for yourselves. Like I said, the Steam link will be in the description below. If you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button for more Judge Mathases just like this one, and maybe consider hitting like, as it helps me out a great deal. It's been Judge Mathas for Darkwood, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.